alaikum to all the viewers. Here I am Benazir Hakro, the student of the Department of Business Administration from Sindh University campus Larkana. I know nowadays you have a mixed feelings considering the pandemic we are facing. But it is saying goes that there is no stop in the learning. That's why I am here for presenting this video lecture for my final examination. As per my timetable schedule, today I will discuss on 3 important topics. Number first, what is economics? Number second, indicators of economic activities. And number third is scope of economics. And this video lecture is supervised by Sir Ayaz maitlo. What is economics? You may be think that economic means stock market, investment or anything which is related to the money. Today our same part is also related with finance. But I am telling you before that economic is different and also interesting thing. If we talk about the definition of economic, then it starts from the scarcity. Scarcity means deficiency. Our resources are limited, but our wants are unlimited. So we cannot be satisfy our all the wants because our resources are limited. For example, money. For suppose you want to buy a laptop and mobile, but you have only payment of one thing. Then you have to choose either mobile or laptop. Or for suppose you have payment of both things, then also you have choose either these things or another. So basically I want to tell you that we have no money to satisfy our every wants, right? Another example of scarce resource is time. For suppose you have to study for examination and also you want to watching a movie. At a time either you will study or you will watching a movie because you cannot do both things at a time, but you can do one by one. In economic term, we are saying it opportunity cost. Whatever we give up to do something. Economic also work on this concept. People have to take decisions, they have to scare resources for them. Not only people but also every business, government and countries are facing this situation. When we allocate the resources, we have to facing 3 main problems. Number first, what to produce. Number second, how to produce. And number third is for whom to produce. What to produce. Every economy have a limited resources, so they cannot produce all the goods and services. There are 2 aspects of what to produce. Number first, which commodity to produce. In economy have to decide which consumer goods like rice, wheat, clothes, etc. And which capital goods like machinery, equipment, etc. Now second one is how much to produce. Firstly, we have to decide which thing we have to produce. Then also decide the quantity of them. How to produce. In this we have to decide for producing goods and services and which techniques should be applied. Generally there are 2 techniques. Number first, labor intensive technique. Number second, capital intensive technique. In labor intensive technique, we are mostly using labors, and in capital intensive techniques is mostly capital machinery are using. We are using these techniques either for increasing living standards or provide employment opportunity. In Pakistan and India, mostly they are prefer labor intensive technique because there is a high availability of labors. And countries like USA and England, they prefer mostly capital intensive technique because there is a shortage of labors. For whom to produce? Who will be alternate consumer of goods and services? Because resources are limited, so in this situation we have to decide for which class have to produce all the goods and services. For example, rich class or poor class. For their paying capacity means their income level. Economic is divided into 2 categories, microeconomic and macroeconomic. In microeconomic, we are studying the choices of people, means which factors are influenced to their choices and how their decisions affect their price of goods, demands, and supply in the market. For example, in microeconomics for a business, we often study like this. Means how much workers to hire for earn much profit. Or when our competitors try to release their product, then we have to also release a new product. Macroeconomic. Now in macroeconomic, we are studying the whole nation's output, unemployment, interest rate, government spending and growth. For example, in macroeconomic, we can know all the things like to increasing the taxes, there will be also increasing unemployment in nation, and to increasing money supply in market, then output will increase or just inflation. If inflation occurs in one country, then why other countries are affected? Now the next topic is indicators of economic activity. You know what GDP mean? Well, GDP is all around us. It's clothes we wear, cars we drive, food we eat, doctors, hairdressers, teachers. In fact, everything around us is a part of GDP. But what is GDP? GDP is measure the size of country's economy. It stands for gross domestic product. Simply put, GDP is the total value of goods and services produced in the country. Hence, it measures how large the economy is. So, how is GDP calculated? There are many ways to calculate GDP. The most common equation is consumer spending plus government spending plus investment plus net export equal to GDP. Well, elaborate it further. Consumer spending is the money you and I spend on our daily consumptions of physical goods like tea or coffee and services like getting a haircut. Next one is government spending. Basically, government spending is the money that national or government spend on a public welfare like roads, hospitals, schools and defense. Then come third part of GDP is investment. This comprises how much money various businesses spend for their business operations like on building, land and machinery. Even consumers' investment like buying a home is included in this. The final part of GDP calculation is net export. Net export is a value of countries of total export minus the value of its total import. GDP is highly effective measure of economic activity, giving insight into a country's economy and enables the comparison with other countries. So why is GDP growth good? Well, a high GDP growth is essential to meet the growing need of the population. Essentially, middle-income country like us Pakistan, household need more money to provide for food, clothing, housing, health and more for families' growth. The second indicator of economic activity is GNP. Full form of GNP is Gross National Product. Most of us think that N stands for net, but we shall not confuse between the game of gross and net because here N stands for the national. GNP is equal to value of everything produced within a Pakistan plus incoming money from outside of Pakistan minus outgoing money for foreign by foreigners. Here I will explain you the easiest way. It is obvious that we shall count the goods that are being produced in our country. But what about foreigners who are working in our country? They are sending their money to their own countries. For suppose Sam is work in our country in some company and he also remit money to America where he belonged to his parents. Here comes another point of concern that what about Pakistani who are living in foreign countries? So if you get foreign posting and earn huge amount of money, so when you remit money in Pakistan, then it will be added to in the GDP. So what is the conclusion? GDP focuses on where output is produced, while GNP focuses on output produced Pakistan nationals. Let's move on next topic, NDP. It stands for net domestic product. We know the difference between gross and net. To calculate net, we need to subtract something from gross. So what we need to minus from gross domestic product? Answer is depreciation or wear and tear. But why do we need to consider depreciation? Suppose you have to purchase a Royal Enfield bike for 1.5 lakh rupees. It comes under final goods. So we will add it value to our GDP. After 2 years, if its gas doesn't work or its chain breaks, then what will you do? Then you will have to take it to the mechanic and ask him to repair it. Or for suppose after some time you thought out to purchasing another bike and you want to sell your old bike. So what do you think? You will be able to sell your bike in 1.5 lakhs? No, because with time goods can be depreciated. You will hardly get 1 lakh for this. So why we should add 1.5 lakhs when the value of our bike has been reduced? 1 lakh, this is a concept of depreciation that to calculate net domestic product, you will have to minus the depreciation from GDP. Friends, point to be noted is that different assets have different depreciation. And Ministry of Commerce and Industry publishes these rates. We can calculate that GDP consider a newly produced capital goods while NDP consider remaining value of goods after depreciation. Now comes NNP, which means net national product. This is a net form of gross national product. Here we subtract the depreciation of GNP. In GNP, we take into accounts that income of Pakistan nations only and deducting the income of foreigners. And here from this GNP, when we minus the depreciation, then we come to no net national product. This is the purest form of national income because we don't consider the money earned by foreigners and we also reduce the depreciation from it. Now, when we divide this value with population of the country, then we get per capita income. Scope of economics in Pakistan. If we talk about scope of economics in Pakistan, most of students want to start economic study, but mostly they quit their studies. Due to lot of troubles task. But I think this is not completely reality because student doesn't complete their education of economic study because they don't know the basic concepts of economics. If we do not clear basic concept of economics, then it will be useless and wastage of time for us. If we want to get a good knowledge of economics, then we have to clear our basic concept. Because I know when I was in first year, so our teacher was so good and experienced teacher, and also he teaches in very well manner in every point of view. But most of students couldn't catch the lecture. Those things are teachers, but they didn't understand. They thought that it is a boring subject. After class, they again ask us that what sir teach you. It means their basic concept was not clear. If you know how to utilize our information, then we can understand in economics in a better way. If you are good dealer and you have also interest of shopping, then you can also understand economics in a better way because economics depend on consumers, depend on professions, depend on industries. So those people who have interest in these fields, they can understand easily. Economic is not a boring subject. Economic is very interesting subject and it's day-to-day life. Means it relate our daily life. In last, I'm thankful to all of you who are watching my video. Thanks for watching and please do not forget like and subscribe to my channel. Thanks a lot. Allah Negeban.